Dan, I'm from Hope Technology. Today I'm going to show you how to lubricate and align your caliper. So it's the same in either a V4, an E4 or an X2, it's all the same process. Tools you're going to need, just going to need a set of Allen keys, a flat-bladed screwdriver. We have this tool, it's a spanner that we do sell, basically it's just flat either side. And I'll show you why we use that tool. And also just some kind of lubricant. We use a silicone lube, which we've just got with a little paintbrush there. And then you'll also need some cleaner, once again like an isopropyl cleaner, something like that, and a rag as well. So to begin with, you want to just remove your wheel. We're then going to remove the pads out of the caliper. So you're just going to need a 3mm Allen key, just on this side, back it off, and you will notice that there is a little basically pad pin clip, and you want to remove that as well. That's basically there just so if your pad pin does come loose, it won't actually fall out of the caliper, which means your pads will stay in. Remove that, and then you can push your pads up out the top of the caliper. Put them to one side. Now, using basically just the flat sides, you're just going to place that into the centre of the caliper, making sure that when you do pump the lever, the pistons will touch it and obviously not fall out. So that's biting against a little tool, I can let go of it and it's in there. Basically, if I take that out now, you don't want to push the lever anymore or your pistons will come out. But you can see there that your pistons have come out basically as far as they can go, which means you can clean them and then re-lubricate them. So you're going to want to just get just a rag and just clean the inside of the pistons like that, the top and the bottom. You don't really want to use any spray like a degreaser, especially not a lot of brake cleaners out there now. We've found that they do actually swell the seals on the inside of the caliper. So we recommend you to just steer clear of any specific disc brake cleaner. So you should just be able to wipe all the muck off with a rag. If they are like real dirty and grimy, then you are better off taking your caliper apart and doing a full service. So as I said, just wipe the top and bottom of the pistons, just get in the middle of them like that. Once you're happy they're clean, you just want to dab the paintbrush. You don't want to put too much on at all, obviously then it's going to spill out onto the pads. Just a real light coating on the top and the bottom of the pistons, just so that when you push them back in, that's going to go directly onto the seals. Just a real light coat. You don't want it dripping because it's just going to drip then onto your caliper, which will go onto your rotor and your pads, and obviously then you're going to have issues with your brake. Then using this same tool again, you're going to place it in this way and then basically use it to push the pads back in the caliper. So if you're struggling to get them back both at the same time, we do another tool like this, basically so you can push one back at a time like that. So once your pistons are all the way back in, we'd recommend just to repeat this process a few times. So place that in the centre once again and pump the pistons out, and then just push them back. In the caliper. And basically that's just getting all that, just that bit of lube, running it onto the seal. Once you're happy that the brake's feeling a lot better and the pistons are coming out equally, just push them out one last time, and then just using that same rag, just wipe away any excess lubricant, because obviously the lube is now onto the seals. So if you just wipe any excess away, obviously you don't want to spray any degreaser on now or anything like that. Just wipe any excess off. Like So once they're pushed back again, you can just grab just a tiny bit of isopropyl in the caliper, just if there's any excess that's spilled out. Put your rag. I like to just put the rag up through the caliper and just clean either side. Just clean it off, make sure it's all right. And now we're ready to put the wheel back in and align the caliper. So using your 5mm Allen key, you just want to, if the bolts are already loose, then that's fine, but if not, just loosen the bolts off like that. Make sure that the caliper can move, and then basically what you want to do is you just want to line the caliper up so it is dead center with the rotor. I find this better without the pads in, just so you can get a proper look down either side. Do the bottom and then the top, making sure that it is central. Obviously if it's not central, then when you come to put your pads in, it's either always going to rub or you're just going to encounter problems. Just nip that up, spin the wheel, just double check that it is central. Nip it up, and then you're ready to put your pads back in. Put the pads in your hand like that with the spring inside. Basically then just drop the pads in, push them in at the top, and then you can put your pad pin back in. Make sure that the pad pin goes through the spring. I've seen it a few times where people haven't put the pad pin through the spring. Nip that up and then put the safety clip back on. And then to finish the setup of the brake, you want to obviously push on the lever, getting the pads to bite, and then even though the caliper is central with the rotor, you might need to centralize the pistons as well, so you can see that maybe one side of the pistons is working more than the other. So all you want to do is you want to just use your flat bladed screwdriver again and just push on the back of the pads whilst pumping the lever, and that'll basically just, as you can see, it'll push either one side or the other out. So just basically pump the lever and push and make sure that it's central within the caliper. You might need to spin it a few times, but and then make sure that they're all working. And as well, you'll get a better feel of the brake if you work the pistons as well. So after every bleed, when you're setting the brakes back up, centralize the caliper and then work the pistons as well. And then you should see that it's working both equally.